I grew up in a little town. It was a beautiful little town in Nova Scotia. Alcoholism ran in both sides of my family, so growing up I was no stranger to being around alcohol or the effects that it had on people or even families. And at a young age I started to dabble a little bit in drinking. Funny enough, when I was drinking, I actually fit into my skin. I just felt good, nothing else mattered. I was just out of high school. I made it into my first treatment center. And as life passed, my illness progressed and my drinking became more and more. And before I knew it, alcohol was king in my life. It had a grip on my soul. As bad as it sounds, early in my addiction, I envied the guy who didn't have a home to go to, the guy who had no responsibilities, that guy that could keep the party going, and I was always doomed to go home. And when I got there, I felt lonely, I felt shameful. I wasn't a great father and I wasn't a great husband either. No matter how hard I tried, no matter what I did, I couldn't seem to shake off this illness. It was Victoria Day, May 2009. I was driving along and I was lighting off Roman candles out of the driver's window of my car. Before I knew it, there was a cruiser behind me and he had his lights on. So I pulled over. And I pulled over on a side street, and off to my left was these little children sitting on the doorstep. And I looked over at those little kids, and they're about the same age as mine. And I knew in that moment that that wasn't the life for me. I was a father, I was a husband, I needed to step up, I needed to be the person that I was meant to be. What happened was I made it into the men's addiction program at 174, and that's where things started to change. I wasn't able to work anymore. My marriage was dissolved, and I was in pretty rough shape. And I remember going through the doors of 174, and it was a 2-week period where you had to be with another resident. And after that, you would get a key. And I thought to myself, I could barely be sober for a couple hours, let alone 2 weeks. How am I going to do this? A counselor there started talking about integrity. I've heard the word, but I didn't know what it meant. And they were talking that day about integrity being what you're thinking and what you're saying and what you're doing, they all match. And later on that day, I knew all about thinking and saying and doing, they all match, but I couldn't remember what that word was. So I went up to the counselor and I said, what was that you were talking about earlier today? And he said, integrity. So I wrote it on my hand. I wasn't willing to forget about that again. So I held that close to me, integrity. And before you know it, time has passed and people started to trust me again. The House of Friendship in 174, they walked with me in this journey and help me integrate back in to what's home for me today. Home is a place where I feel like the father I was meant to be today and the husband. It's a place that my children feel safe. It's where I tuck them in at night, and it's where I lay my head down each and every day with a clear conscience.